ladies and gentlemen. My name is Dietrich, and today we are test driving a 1995 Chevrolet Corvette. This thing is very low mileage. It's only got 35,700 miles on it, 734 to be exact. 4-speed automatic, LT1 V8, the old LT1 V8. 300 horsepower, 350 torques, and this thing is just a blast to drive. I'm way too big for it. I'm 6'5". I'm hunched over with a GoPro on my head. I have no idea what this footage is going to look like. But this car has great acceleration. It's glued to the road. I've got wind noise coming in from the roof panel. It rumbles, it rattles, it squeaks. I've got exposed screws on the A-pillars. But this thing is just so cool. I love Corvettes, and I think the C4 still to this day is a great looking car. It's a definition of a car that looks fast even when it's not moving. And when it is moving, it is fast. It still feels fast. 300 horsepower and 350 torque. That's maybe the more important number. Uh-oh, there's a highway patrolman. We're gonna have to follow the pace car for a minute. 300 horsepower is not a lot in this day and age, especially when you consider that this car's only got 4 gears. Bye-bye, Mr. Highway Patrolman. To quote Larry the Cable Guy, we're back to green flag racing out on the interstate, baby. And yeah, 300 horsepower and 4 gears. You know, look, not a lot in this day and age, but because this car is so low to the ground, you really do have the strong sensation of speed. And you get the noises, you feel the bumps. You feel a lot more connected and aware of the driving experience than you do in any modern car that has 300 horsepower. Oh, and when you romp on the throttle, it just goes. This thing is so cool. A buddy of mine bought this. He let me borrow it to review it, and he's like 23, and he doesn't really seem to be all that enamored of it, which I don't know why. A bunch of his friends have C4s, and that's why he bought one. He wanted to be part of the crew. But I love it. I absolutely love this car, and you know it's going to be reliable. It's going to last a long time. General Motors cars run bad longer than most cars run at all. That's a little joke. This car actually runs really good. That is a small block Chevrolet engine right there, folks. SB, see you later. Stuck in traffic doing 23 miles an hour in the C4. Of course, this car has some kind of aftermarket exhaust on it. I have no idea what kind. It has this weird aftermarket intake that almost looks like a 3-testicle system under the hood. Maybe I'll edit in some footage of that just so you can see what I'm talking about. I have filmed a full review on this beautiful vehicle as well, so you can check that out if you'd like. Let's see what manner of thing Caltrans is doing here. Oh, it's a mess. We had some giant, oh my goodness. It's all kind of stuff all over the road. We had some kind of giant windstorm last night. It was crazy. Blowing stuff everywhere. A couple of fires started. You got the Santa Ana winds in early December. I don't know what's up with that. But we're back on our way. Even though I technically don't really fit in this car, I do find it relatively comfortable. I've just always had a thing for Corvettes. When I was a little kid, my neighbor... One of my neighbors owned a transmission shop, and this would have been in like the late 80s, early 90s. And I was friends with his son, and he had an old C3. It was like this kind of, it was probably gold when it was new, but the paint was kind of faded on it. But I remember just staring at that car and thinking it was so cool. And then, believe it or not, I was the homecoming king of my high school, which is not really something you bring up very much as an adult, but I'll bring it up now because when I rode in the homecoming parade, I rode on the back of a 67 C2 convertible. It was black, and it had side pipes, and it had a 427 and a 4-speed manual. And so I'm sitting up kind of on the back of this car, parade style, because it's a parade, and the dude driving it was like, hey man, here's the deal. The water pump doesn't work all that well at idle, so every now and then I'm gonna have to dip the clutch and rev the engine, just so you know, okay? And I was like, okay. 427 big block with side pipes. This thing sounded like nothing else I'd ever heard in my life at that point. I mean, you know, every I don't know, 60 seconds or so, he just dipped the clutch and rum, and oh, the rumble, the smell of the gas, oh, it was amazing. I loved that. So because of those things, I've always had an obsession with Corvettes, and because of Gran Turismo 2, which is like one of the video games in the world that I put the most hours into, I've always had a thing for C4s because that was the newest Corvette you could buy in Gran Turismo 2. I think the C5s were out by the time they published that game, but you couldn't get a C5 in it. So Corvette ZR1, Corvette Grand Sport, that's what I had. And this thing is just so rad. It's like driving a video game. All the goofy... This is a little bit less digital on these later C4s, but the speedo is still digital. It lights up all orange at night. It's actually got a little bit of ambient lighting in the cabin. There's some like red ambient lights on the door handles, and a little light that comes down from the rear view mirror that lights up where the gear shifter is and stuff. This car's awesome. I don't know if I could do one as a daily driver, even though this has been my daily driver for the last couple of days. Because the only car of mine that's running properly right now is my S65 AMG Mercedes, and I let my boy borrow it so I could use his Corvette. But man, it would be cool to have one of these as a weekend car. This is fantastical. Cars are so cool. This is the kind of car I drive that kind of reinvigorates my passion for cars, you know? You review a new Hyundai hybrid, and it gets some decent views sometimes, and you get some good money, at least for me, off of some of those videos, blah, blah, blah. But it's not overly exciting. This is exciting. This is fun. Even though I'm just driving it normal on the freeway, this thing is like, it feels different from what I normally drive. That's about all I have to say about it. It's rad. I love it. 95 Corvette C4. General Motors, baby. Like my video and subscribe to my channel. And have a good day.